Hey everyone! Today I'll show you how to create this animation. Let's dive in. Start by creating a new composition, name it main, set the size to 1920 by 1080 pixels, frame rate to 30, and duration to 6 seconds. Now let's drop our logo into the main composition. Apply a white fill effect. Scale it up a little. And center it. Select the logo layer, pre-compose it, and name it logo. Don't forget to check move all attributes into the new composition. On this new layer, apply the Vegas effect. If you don't see the Effects and Presets panel, you can enable it from the top menu. Go to Window and activate it. In the Vegas settings, set segments to 2, blend mode to transparent, and the color to white. For the opacity, set start opacity to 0 and midpoint opacity to 1. Now move to the very beginning of the timeline and set a keyframe for length at 0. Then go to frame 115 and set the length to 0.400. Select both keyframes, press F9 to ease them. Go back to frame 0 and set a keyframe for rotation. Then move to 5 seconds and change the rotation value to 2. Select the keyframes, press F9 to ease them. Next, open the speed graph and adjust the curve by moving the handles. Duplicate the logo layer and rename it Logo Core. On this layer, add a fast box blur with a blur radius of 20. Also apply a set matte effect. Now duplicate that layer, rename it Logo Halo, change the blur radius to 40, and add a glow effect. Set glow threshold to 70, glow radius to 30, and glow intensity to 0.7. Duplicate this layer again. On the copy, add another fast box blur. First set blur radius to 20 with 1 iteration, then another blur radius to 10 with 5 iterations. Finally, duplicate the glow effect on this layer. Set the values to threshold 45, glow radius 1, and glow intensity 1.2. Now let's create a new solid, name it BG, this will be our background. Select all layers, pre-compose them, and call the new comp logo layers. Next, grab the ellipse tool, make sure no layer is selected, and draw an ellipse shape roughly like this. Apply a glow effect with threshold set to 73, glow radius 47, and glow intensity 1.7. Duplicate the glow effect and change the values to threshold 94, glow radius 264, while keeping the intensity the same. Now move our ellipse to the top left corner, so that only the glow is visible, but make sure it's not too bright. Go to the beginning and set a keyframe for position. At the 3-second mark, move the ellipse closer to the center. Select the position keyframes and apply ease. Set the opacity to 50%. Let's nudge it a little closer. Yeah, that looks better. Now duplicate the ellipse layer. Go back to the very start, make sure both position keyframes are selected, and move this copy down to the bottom of the screen. Now select the keyframes, right-click, go to Keyframe Assistant, and choose Time Reverse Keyframes. Our keys are now set correctly. Let's preview, looks great. Next, let's add a new video layer with some smoke. You can use any kind of footage or effect you like. In the Mode menu, set it to Screen and lower the opacity to 10%. Now create a new composition and name it Part 2. Inside this new comp, add a solid layer for the background and apply the 4-color gradient effect. For the first point, set a very dark color, almost black, and for the last point do the same. For the second one, I'll choose this color. You can either pick your own, or copy the exact value if you want to follow along. And for the third one, I'll set this color. Now let's move the points around until the background looks more balanced. Perfect, and finally, set the blend value to 145. Now, drag the logo layer into this same composition. Create a text layer, align it, and then pre-compose the text. Open the pre-comp, change the background color of this pre-comp to black, or any contrasting color, so the text stands out clearly. Turn on the rulers, pull out some guides, and place them at the edges of each letter, top, bottom, and sides. Something like this, but for the letter I, place the guides a little farther out. You'll see why in a moment. Select the text layer and choose Create Shapes from Text. Now you can delete the original text layer. Duplicate the new shape layer 4 times, or as many times as you need, depending on how many letters are in your word. On each layer, keep only one letter. For example, on the first layer, rename it with the letter you want and delete the other shapes. Repeat the same process for the rest of the layers. Now select all your layers and open the Path property. At the 1-second mark, enable keyframes for the path on every layer. Be careful with letters like R and O, they have 2 separate paths. Make sure to activate keyframes for both of them, otherwise the animation won't work. Then go back to the very beginning and use the pen tool to move the points of the letter along the guides, shaping them into a rectangle. Perfect, here's the result. Now repeat the same process with the rest of the letter shapes. Remember, all the adjustments should be made at the very beginning. By the 1-second mark, the shape should fully transform into the letter. Hold Option to remove the Bezier handles from a point, so it turns into a sharp corner. And don't forget about the inner parts of letters like O and R. At the beginning, they should also be hidden, and then animate into place. And now do the same with the letter R. We've got 2 letters left, and I think we can finish them quickly. Alright, let's take a look at what we've got. Now select the path keyframes and apply Easy Ease. Go into the speed graph and adjust the handles. At frame 115, set keyframes for position. Then go back to frame 0 and align the letters to the center. Select the position keyframes and apply Easy Ease. Now open the speed graph and adjust the handles. Enable the button with the 2 overlapping circles, that's motion blur. It adds a smooth trailing effect to the movement. We can delete the guides, we don't need them anymore. Then shift the keyframes from frame 115 back to 1 second. Select all the layers and move them 15 frames to the right from the start. Great, now let's switch to the Part 2 composition. At the very beginning, select the logo layer, enable a keyframe for scale, and set it to 70. At frame 112, change the scale to 100. Next, at 215, select both the text and logo layers, enable keyframes for scale at 100, and at 315 increase it to 170. With both layers still selected, enable keyframes for opacity at 215. At 315, set the opacity to 0. Select all the keyframes, press F9 for Easy Ease, then open the speed graph and adjust the handles. Now, at frame 2, enable keyframes for rotation on the logo layer, set it to -45. At frame 109, change it back to 0. Select the keyframes, apply Easy Ease, and adjust the speed graph to match mine. Go back to the main composition and trim the layers at the 3-second mark. Now drag the Part 2 comp into the main timeline and place it at frame 207. With the Part 2 layer selected, grab the ellipse tool and draw a circle in the center. This will be our mask for the transition into the second part of the animation. At frame 207, set a keyframe for mask expansion and pull the value into the negative so that the second part is hidden. Then at frame 306, expand the mask so the first part disappears and only the second part is visible. Select the keyframes and apply Easy Ease. At frame 207, enable keyframes for mask opacity and set it to 0. Then at frame 211, raise the value to 100. For mask feather, set it to 100. Now create a new adjustment layer. Apply the noise effect, and set the amount to 3%. Select the logo layer's pre-comp. At the very beginning, set a keyframe for position, and add another one at frame 125. Then go back to the start and nudge the layer downward using the arrow keys while holding Shift. Select the keyframes, apply Easy Ease, and adjust the handles in the speed graph. At 1 second, enable opacity keyframes. Go back to the start, set the opacity to 0. Select the keyframes, apply Easy Ease, and adjust them in the speed graph. At frame 125, enable a keyframe for scale. Then go to 3 seconds and set the value to 242. Select the keyframes, apply Easy Ease. Create a new adjustment layer and trim it at the 5-second mark. Apply the exposure effect, and at 5 seconds set a keyframe. At 6 seconds, change the exposure value to -10. Select the keyframe and apply Easy Ease. Let's make the logo look sharper. Turn on the gear icon for Part 2 and the other pre-comps. If you notice gradient banding, just switch from 8-bit to 16-bit color. That fixes it right away. And remember, you can use any logo or text in this animation by simply replacing the logo inside the logo pre-comp. It's quick and easy. If you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. More exciting tutorials are coming soon. See you next time.